Here we are at Sheehans Irish Imports, and they've just moved in, well, just about 2 years ago to this new location. Tell us about how you came to start this shop and who did it and how you ended up moving from one location to the other, just to document that for history.
Sure. So, in the early 1980s, our mom got a phone call from a friend in St. Louis who said, "Now, Peggy, I've got some sweaters here from my cousins in Donegal. Could you sell those there in Kansas City?" And she said, "Well, sure," because we were all involved in the Ancient Order of Hibernians and the Ladies Auxiliary. So there was lots of fairs and lots of opportunity to sell things to Irish people. So it kind of started off with that, and it sort of grew. And she found the popularity was immense here in Kansas City. So next thing you know, we've got a little corner of a store at 3930 Baltimore with John Peruka, who just opened a new extension of Pride's across the street there off of 39th Street.
Yeah, that was
Westport Road.
Pride's Old Westport.
Pride's Old
Yeah.
Westport.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that building was called the Mercantile. So John really wanted Mom's items in his store. He loved the woolens, and the hats, and the caps, and that's
And they grew up, and they grew up together. Mom and John
Right,
Peruka,
that's
and
true.
her brother Tommy would race around in their cars in Kansas City, and so they had a tie there. And Mom worked there for a little bit before she decided to open her own store.
Right.
So our store is essentially patterned after Pride's of Old Westport.
Well, and then, you know, at that time period, the Irish American Cultural Center, which lasted for about 4 years, we had several events there.
That's right, at Pride's.
The
sure
Scardiglin played for us twice just to kick off the activities.
With Connie Dover and Roger Landis and Dave Brown.
That's right.
So that was, wow.
And
We're going back in time.
Where'd you go from there?
Well, from there, it expanded, and I think the Mercantile might have been something that didn't quite work as well as John had hoped it would. It had a cute cafe and things, but he had large things for the patio, and, you know, that was before Home Depot, so we kind of got marketed out of that, and Mom found a spot down on Westport Road, and
Or her daughter.
or her daughter Molly.
Oh.
So my husband and I were living in Westport at that time, and just drove by on Westport Road, 1412, and got a hold of the owner of the building, and we were there for 28 years.
And you moved just...
Last September, we did. The building was sold down in Westport.
After 28 years.
Yes. So Katie found this.
And then
Yeah.
we'll have people come in and remind us. Now, years ago,
Well, 25 years ago, I got this book,
and they're
we're
not
like,
published anymore.
no, and companies have gone out of business. That's
Yes,
the
yes.
sad.
They're now rare books.
That's the
Yeah,
sad
they
thing,
are.
is
Irish
that-
Books and Media.
Yeah, oh, that was a
40
nice...
years in business. They
Yes.
have every
Right.
book you could think of out of
Right.
Minneapolis or St. Paul, and they closed, and that was very hard to find good books.
They helped
Still is.
help put together Irish books in print too. I mean, they helped gather information for it, and that was something else. Owen McKiernan,
right,
his
Dr.
daughter
McKiernan.
Ethna, and that was quite an operation. What else do you see here? You always offer, or when did you start offering the tea, a cup of tea to folks who came in?
First day we opened.
Items you go to these big sale-a-thon type things, don't you?
Trade shows.
Trade shows.
Yeah,
yes.
where at?
Well, in April, we go to Secaucus, New Jersey.
Yes.
And so that's always a lot of fun. And the thing about it is that the Irish love to come over to America.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not just us going to Ireland.
Yes.
They want to come to America. And they do quite a bit shopping when they're here also.
And so we've kind of educated our customers over the years.
How
too.
about things like, do people still look for Waterford Crystal? Or
They talk about Waterford as an
Right.
old-time experience mainly, and we kind of have to talk about, the evolution of Waterford and how
Yes,
so many things
yes.
have been manufactured, out of Ireland.
Going back to the Irish community here, let's go back to, we were talking a little bit ago in the 1980s. What groups were here? What Irish groups, what Irish personalities, and any names you can remember?
Oh, well, I think one of the biggest names that in Kansas City that was so involved was Freddie Wirsch.
Yes.
Well, definitely
Well,
PJ and Molly Cullinan,
yeah.
Waddy and Eileen Bell.
Bell, yeah.
You know, at the Carneys,
Oh,
from
absolutely.
Ennis, the Glens, Patty Glenn and her family.
Yes.
Oh, right.
So there were so many, and they would just really were very clannish in nature because they were both all had the same heritage, and were parts of all these groups, and we just kind of became one big.
Yeah, and do you see a difference between, say, 1984 and 2017? What's the difference in the groups and their attitudes and the number of groups and that
They're
sort
younger.
of thing? Well, or is it that we're older?
That's probably the main thing.
Yeah.
Tower
Yes.
Park, but it was kind of funny because we were a lot younger then and things like that, so you had to watch what you said because it would be in the Shamrock newspaper
Yeah.
that next issue.
Yes, it would.
So it
Especially
was.
if your mother was doing the gossip column.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, trouble. Nothing
Peggy
but trouble.
Sheehan was in charge of. Well, last weekend Molly was seen at. I'm like, mother.
I still remember your mom's story on the last podcast I did with her. It was just audio, but she talked about the Germans across the street and how the Irish were on one side and the Germans were on the
that
other.
was in Westport. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's vendors. I mean, that was very German. And
Yes,
the
yes.
bakeries and things. Yeah, yeah.
Well, especially when she was growing up in the West Bottoms.
Oh, yeah,
I think
that's
it was.
true too.
Right.
What about any other new groups? There were several incarnations trying to get another cultural center type thing going. Most of them didn't quite work. There's one now
Yes,
that's active.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, they've done a great job.
Thrilled about them. This is funny because when you look back, I was just thinking about this. If you look back, who were really the Irish dancers?
Yes.
Okay, so and I know Patty Glenn, and all of
Marie.
them, and
Christine Orita.
absolutely, and yourself, but what about those Quinn girls?
Yes.
Twin sisters.
Yes.
They were hysterical because I would remember them after the parades in the 70s.
What about the other? There's so many more dance groups.
Oh my
There's
God, yes.
the Manning, Joseph Manning.
Well, they were the students of Christina Rita, so they had
Yes.
the Rita Manning School.
Right, and what's the other one?
Driscoll.
Driscoll.
And she was a student of Christine as well.
So Christine really, the Hibernians brought her over to begin with, and then that went back and forth, and then she went back home just before the end time.
That's right.
But there was a lot of more dance. Oh, and Kaylee at the Crossroads is another one.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Again, another student. And then they had the adult group, which I think you were part of, Mike, for a while.
Clan Aaron?
Clan Aaron.
Clan of Aaron, yeah. Well, we actually
Denise
started that
McNally.
at the.
Yes.
You and I did really.
Well, I think maybe so with PJ's tape.
Yes.
Guarding Angels.
Yes, that was
Played
it.
At Guarding Angels.
And
Yes.
these guys, I see Clan of Aaron. They survived. It's one of the few
amazing.
surviving things. Of course, they never heard of me.
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
funny.
I said, "Excuse me."
Oh, that's
Well,
funny.
I think that's how Debbie Brown and John Feehan met.
Yes, that's right. That's
Oh,
exactly
that's
right.
funny.
They were both dancing at Guarding Angels. Yep.
Oh,
It's just
Changes.
part of it. And well, we had 100 floats, one or 2 years, but or a little bit more back then. And now I don't know how many they got, but
200 some. I don't even
Yeah.
know. I know they
it's
limited
been over. Yeah, it's been over. They've had over 200. I don't know if they have that many now, but it is a business. But back then, it's like we would drive Fred crazy. We would decide the night before. Okay, let's be in the parade. And then we would jump in, and he would have his little megaphone. He's like, "Oh, and there are the Sheehans," and we're all like, "Hi,
Not following
Fred."
the rule.
moving into Irish music in Kansas City. Go back as far as you can think. What names do you remember? Like Dayhill,
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
and even before
absolutely.
that, if you can remember.
I think my very first concert was at the Uptown with Dennis Day.
Yes, I've got.
Gracious.
My mother got a signed piece of sheet music from Dennis Day.
I bet.
I just remember Tommy Wirsch and some of the old timers or whatever there and working that. It was just so funny. And then who else have we had?
Well,
in?
we've had Clancy and Macomb,
Yeah.
which is always, they're fantastic. The Chieftains, of course.
Chieftain
Yeah.
several times.
Several times.
We brought
and
Patty
the thing,
Riley in.
And Patty Riley went out to
Yeah.
Rockhurst High School. Well, it used to be very localized, and we'd all, like, we would sell tickets, or the Hibernians would sell tickets, and then now it's all on Ticketmaster or whatever.
Yes,
But
Right.
yes.
around 1990, finally talked the Wolf Tones into coming to Kansas City.
Oh, and that became an annual thing.
that became an annual item and a lot of fun.
And you put that together, didn't you?
Molly and I did. We convinced Pete McCluskey and Kathy McGuire that this was a good idea.
Phil Cheney.
Oh, and Phil Cheney absolutely
Yeah.
was instrumental in all
Yeah.
that. And talked to Peter Adams and Lauren Taylor, who were big over in Kansas City, Kansas. The National Guard Armory would be a great place to do that. So we packed 1,200 people in there. The limit was 1,000.
1,000.
And we had fun.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
It was.
How about the personalities local here that over the years have performed, starting way back then? I remember, we had the traditional stuff with Scar to Glen,
Right.
and there was who was
yeah,
it?
Day Hill. Of course.
Day Hill, yeah, and you keep moving on through.
Well, Connie Dover went on to have a fabulous
Oh,
career
yes.
on her own, and she had sung at our store a number
Yes.
of different times. Beautiful voice.
And she's still at it.
Still at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And,
And then I was going to say so many of the locals, like,
Mike Duggar and Dave Brown, and then they'd have little
Denny
sessions.
Lowe,
Oh,
Peter
Oh yeah, he was a
John
singer.
Morris.
Yeah. John
John
Morris.
Morris.
I never heard of him. Where did he come from?
He came from the Bigger Jigger.
That's right.
Mike Pepper had faith in him, and I think he was supposed to do the Mike Murphy radio show years ago, and that got canceled. So Freddie Wirsch promised him he would do some gig at the Bigger Jigger. So that's how that all started. So
And what about Bob Reeder?
yeah,
Yeah,
Bob
Bob.
Reeder. Thank you, Mike.
He's
Yeah.
well, he's real big now up
And he
in
just came in the store like a week ago.
Yeah.
Did.
Sorry, Bob.
up in Weston. He's
Yes, and
you
he's
know
up north a lot.
yeah yeah
And of course, Eddie Delahunt.
Delahunt,
I mean,
yeah, and he came in
Eddie-
right around '84, didn't he? Or
Yeah, he's been here about 25 years.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And he's a
Maybe.
native
John
of
Redmond.
native of Dublin.
Yes.
Yes.
That good old Jerry Wyatt.
Yeah.
He would bring in some acts to Harlem.
Oh, that was
Oh, that's
Harlings.
true.
And what'd you call that before it was Harlings? It was the Falcon.
Falcon
The
Club.
Falcon Club.
Falcon Club. That was.
Falcon Club.
And what's that address?
That's on Westport Road in Maine, and they look
Yeah.
like they're closed now. But
Yeah, but they were the big thing. If
They
you
were
wanted to
the
go
place.
have a party, you get that back room.
Oh,
and
that's
the
right.
place. And then,
That's
then
right.
it got so busy on St. Patrick's Day you couldn't even get in.
Well, the floor. was
Yes,
moving
that worried
when you were
me
dancing.
too. Yes, it would rock.
Oh
and the
my
funny thing
goodness.
is that was not a VFW, an Elks Club, VFW.
Well,
when we were,
Oh,
when I
little.
was little, my
Right.
grandmother would take me there for a little Shirley Temple,
She played bingo
and yeah,
in the back room.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
What
So
what
that's an old
about
building.
what about things like shrimp dinners? Wasn't that a big thing in the '80s?
Yeah, and it still is actually. The Hibernians are still doing shrimp dinners down at Redemptorist now, and that was a big fundraiser and for them, and it's just fun.
And there's now two divisions of the Hibernians, one on the Kansas side,
Yeah.
one on the Missouri side.
Right.
And
ladies'
that's different.
divisions.
You go back into the late 1800s, and there was like 7, 8 divisions.
Wow.
Then it got cut back to one, which is the Patrick Pierce,
Sure.
the bigger one, and they're still here. So that's developed too. And I don't know what else. Have there other little groups sprung up? I know we're forgetting some, but which is
We are.
whatever we can remember.
I know. Isn't that terrible? I'm embarrassed if we really leave.
Oh, there's more, but we can always do another video someday and fill in on just what we forgot.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we'll be so much better at it then.
What other memories do you have of the Irish community and its development in Kansas City from say 1980 to 2017? Oh, Gerald Trimble, he did some stuff too there,
Scarter
That's
Glenn.
right,
I forgot
Scarter
his
Glenn,
name. Sorry.
yeah.
and he's still working active here in Kansas City.
okay.
He puts on shows pretty regularly. I don't know. Yeah, everybody's been to Ireland. Can you think of any? I'm sure there's things we should. Guardian Angels. We did a lot of stuff at Guardian
We were very
Angels.
supportive. The Donegan family ran that hall, so that was a very cheap rental for the Irish to go and have parties, wedding receptions,
Yes.
Yes.
dances. I mean, that's where we did our Irish dancing.
And then we moved to Roanoke Community
That's right.
Center.
Oh, that's right.
And then, that when there wasn't anybody else doing much of that adult stuff, just Kaylee fun dancing.
Right.
What else? What
The
else comes
Hibernian
to?
picnics were fun. They were
Yeah,
always fun.
Hibernian. And is that still?
I don't know if they
I
still do
really
that.
don't know
Yeah,
either.
the last one I went to was at Minor Park a long
Mm-hmm,
time ago. So.
Yes,
Seems like
yes.
you work at Sheehan's, then you get married, then you have your babies, and then they come back.
Yeah, yes. And that's tradition. That's what make it work. Yes,
so
yes,
that's
yes.
it works. It
But you know, I
works.
came in and I had bought a couple of years ago a little holy water fountain that you might put on your doorway or what have you, and it was great. It's very nice. You just don't see them anymore. And I gave it as a wedding present, and they said, you know, it's funny. You're the only one that got us anything like that, you know. And it used to be when you got married, you got a lot of symbolic things.
Yes.
And so I came back today, and it's like, they're all sold out now, but they're on order.
They are
So,
because
you know.
this community here with St. Peter's Parish and St. Elizabeth's Parish,
Dance, we got music.
my radio show.
Yes, you
Let me
had
raise my hand.
Yes, let's talk about that radio show.
And I was just trying to think of Kathy and John. Help me with the last
Overton.
name. Overton.
Over, yes.
Thank you.
Kathy worked for us.
And they're
Kathy
still
worked for
playing.
us, and they
Yeah.
played, and that was another group I was trying to get the name.
Yes,
for.
and they
So
still
thank
play.
you.
Trinity?
Yes.
Maybe it was Trinity.
They're now is it Celtique? CELTIQUE
Good for them.
Celtic Trio.
So John Overton had this idea, or asked if I'd be interested in helping with a radio show down at KKFI, our local public. And I said, well, I've never done that before. So, and we had albums and
Yes.
cassette tapes. And I remember when Mary Black came out with a CD, I had to really learn how to play a CD back then. But that was in the early 90s.
Yes, I remember. You had me on that show
I'm sure
one time.
I did. Much like you're doing now, I tried to get anybody local that had anything to do with Ireland.
Yeah,
on
well,
the
and,
show.
and right now for this new series that's coming out, it's this right here, and it's about the movers and shakers on both the national and a local level. People that just do something to contribute, extraordinarily.
There's a group that we forgot about, and that is Children for Peace. And the
Tom Quayle
Northern
was-
Aid,
yes.
right. And, they are still doing this program to this day.
Yeah, good.
And so they'll have children come over from Ireland, from the north, a Protestant and an Irish child, and they will live in a house together here
Where they'd never
in Kansas
meet.
City.
Yes.
They would never meet back home at all.
Okay, why don't we take just a short look around the shop before
Okay.
we sign up? We're hitting about the half-hour mark.
Oh,
that's
my.
Good, goodness.
Let's see. And now we know a lot of this stuff. Oh, yeah, yes.
That's some of our new pottery I was talking about.
It's selling out every day. You can't keep it in stock.
I swear we have more than one package of bangers.
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
my.
Scones and brown bread,
Oh,
meat
ooh,
pie,
ooh,
sausage rolls.
So just anybody can come here and have a sandwich?
No.
No, this is not a deli.
Yeah.
You go on home.
But
I
you-
don't care what you do when you leave with it.
But you can buy it and enjoy it, and you've had that for years too.
Yeah. Can I get you a cup of tea this afternoon? Let me get you a
Yes.
little cup of tea.
Yes, I'll have a cup of tea just for old time's sake.
Get you a little cream and sugar too.
Dee, 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 dee,
And that'll help you shop a little bit, don't you think?
Yes,
It'll feel like
yes,
you're back
yes.
in Ireland.
There is no doubt about it.
All right.
And oh, you even got sodas and oh gee, mush peas. I don't know. Mushy peas. I never even heard of it.
What does this mean, Mike?
Pogma tahoin.
Uh-huh.
I can't imagine what that
If
means.
you have to ask, I'm sorry. Dang.
I assume this is going to work. I don't know what happens in the sun like this. Good, good. Let me get the
Get our awning.
Irish imports. How about next to the sign here, which is pretty good? Gee, to get back to get it all in. There it is. This is the fourth location, over 30 years or so. Third location. And let's see, to get a street view so folks might be able to recognize it. Well, thank.
You need to get out in the sun a little bit.
Yes, I do. I'm stuck inside at the computer all day long. It's a terrible thing. Well, say goodbye, folks.
Thank you very much, Mr.
minute.
O'Laughlin.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Katie.